Do you feel like you are the reason why Vivek dropped out of Doge?
Him? Specifically.
Yeah, right? Because once that H-1B visa shit happened, bro, and you caused hell, yeah.
So let me explain, because everyone might not be on Twitter.
Yeah.
So right around Christmas Eve, Laura Loomer, who is a hardcore Trump supporter and very anti-immigration, disliked some of the tech bros being in the White House. The Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, etc. All these guys were anti-Trump before, right? David Sachs, all these guys. And a lot of them were pro H-1B visa, right? And she was calling out them being pro-immigration, which, you know, obviously is against the MAGA movement. The MAGA movement in itself is very anti-immigration. That is what the base wants, right? Stricter protocols when it comes to immigration enforcement. So Vivek and Elon basically like started fighting the base, right? So people on my, like me, Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer, Sheikh Suleiman, a bunch of like big Twitter accounts were basically, you know, pushing back on this H-1B visa shit. Because to be honest with you, the H-1B visa is basically a visa that's a scam visa. It's a visa used to bring in cheap labor for tech companies. Now, Elon Musk felt some type of way because, you know, he came in on an H-1B visa. And people were like, well, you know, if he could come in, what about others? And I'm like, bro, that's an exception to the rule, because the reality is most people use H-1B visas to get around paying American citizens that are 100% qualified for the job, because what ends up happening is these H-1B visas come, they're beholden to the company, they can't leave, which obviously puts them in a leveraged position against the employee versus you hire an American citizen. Not only do you have to pay them more, but they can leave with that skill set. So these companies are far more incentivized to hire cheap labor from foreign countries. What is that country mostly? India. So what ended up happening was Vivek wrote this long ass fucking tweet talking about how, you know, Americans don't work hard, and, you know, people prioritize the prom king, the prom queen over the math champion. This whole long ass fucking thing trying to tell Americans some shit, right? And obviously the MAGA base rebelled against that. They didn't like it because, you know, it's a more pro-immigration stance. And basically he got a lot of backlash for that shit. So what he ended up doing was that kind of led to him leaving Doge, and now he's running for governor of Ohio. And the reason why he's running for governor of Ohio is because I predict, and this is my prediction, J.D. Vance is going to run for president in 2028. They both went to Yale together, and they're both from Ohio. Vivek, being governor, is going to institute a very strong Republican base in Ohio, right? And on top of that, Peter Thiel, who is the main guy that backed J.D. Vance and also a friend of Vivek Ramaswamy, is trying to build a factory over there, defense factory there. So obviously he wants to have them bring that factory there, you know, deregulate it, etc. Also, Vivek and JD are also very pro AI, right? And lowering the regulations for AI. And the problem with this is that these are the tech bros speaking, right? This is kind of what came into MAGA and infiltrated it with JD Vance coming in as vice president. And the reason why they were able to infiltrate is because Trump needed money. When he was running, don't forget, he was indicted in 4 different jurisdictions: New York in the state case, Georgia in the RICO case, and 2 federal cases, one in DC and one in Florida. And he was getting lawsuits out the wooza. He's a billionaire, but that's very expensive. So, and he still needs easily $1 billion to campaign. So the tech bros came in and brought money, and that's how JD Vance was able to bring these people in. So, but the problem is that with these tech bros is they're all liberals, bro. Like, they're not really Republicans or conservatives. They all voted for Hillary. They all voted for Biden, but they just kind of rallied around Trump because they knew he was more than likely going to win after he survived that Butler assassination attempt, right? Got crazy press, the Time magazine cover. It was inevitable, right, that he's going to be the shoo-in. So they rallied around him, and that's why you get, you know, Mark Zuckerberg over here saying this stupid shit about, more freedom of expression. Like, it's all cap. And people like Laura Loomer, myself, Nick Fuentes, we've been very critical of these guys because we know they have ulterior motives. And we see this kind of playing out right now with him running for governor of Ohio. He's going to run for governor. Peter Thiel's going to put his defense contracting company there. They're going to basically get a sweetheart deal where they can open it up with less regulation. And then in 2028, I predict he's going to run as vice president alongside J.D. Vance.
Okay. Now, have you and Elon squashed y'all beef?
He demonetized you, right?
Yeah, I was demonetized on X for a bit.
It came back.
No, I'm still demonetized. Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, I had been demonetized before that.
Okay.
But what ended up happening,
the check mark and shit, right?
I lost my check mark. That's what it is. So they took my verification away. Which kind of sucks because when you lose your verification, you can't live stream on it. You can't fucking do anything really. Your tweet can't be super long and shit. But you know, we still does pretty well. Myron Gaines X. I'm able to live stream on it now. But yeah, dude, it kind of sucks. It's like, dude, this is supposed to be, and this was my issue because like X was supposed to be like the free speech app, and like Elon literally put tweets out there where free speech is the bedrock of democracy. He modeled it after the First Amendment. So I'm like, dude, this is quite literally the speech that needs to be protected. This is political speech.
But a bunch of like white nationalists / like hardcore right wing type dudes got either deleted or their monetization and check marks taken away all at the same time, right? It seemed to me like at that time there was some kind of like backlash. I forget exactly what it was, but it seemed like he was trying to like clean up the reputation of the site at that time. I feel like,
was it Elon?
Yeah,
you're referring to Elon?
Yeah,
no, it was the H1B shit, bro.
Yeah,
because it was
just from
so what ended up happening? me, Laura Loomer, Nick Fuentes, Sheikh Suleiman, Stu Peters, Dr. Lupus, 1984, Sam Parker, like all these big like Twitter accounts, like lost their verifications, and also all of us are critical of Israel, well, except for Laura, but like the rest of us are also super critical of Israel. Of course. So I think that played a role into it too, but obviously I'm far more political on Twitter than I am on like YouTube and shit. And on Rumble, I cover that stuff. Yeah. But I'm far like I give a lot more of my political takes on X. Yeah. But yeah, they didn't like that shit.
Yo, so
I used to work in immigration though. So like
that's why you're okay.
Bro, the H1B, okay. Here's the problem, right? I'm gonna give a quick little overview of the problems we have in the United States when it comes to immigration. Not only are we getting destroyed on the southwest border, right? With people coming in illegally and shit like that. We also have problems in the visa system. What I mean by the problems with the visa system is people abuse the F1 visa, H1B visa, J1 visa, all these like visitor visas, B1, B2 visas, right? They come in here a lot of the times where they come in legally, but then they overstay their visas, right? And the thing is that most Americans don't know this. They just think, oh yeah, people are coming in illegally, whatever. That's just a part of the problem. We haven't even talked about the visa issues that we have where people abuse that. Then on top of that, we have marriage fraud, document benefit fraud, all this shit that also goes on in the country. So we don't just have an immigration problem. We have a problem where people come here and they also overstay their visas. It's not just people from poor countries. A lot of people come here from Canada, from France, from these socialist ass countries, and they come and they overstay because they don't have the same opportunities in their shithole of a first world country where they have all these opportunities that they talk about, but they don't have the same opportunities here and they make more money in the US, so they overstay. So my thing is, I think we need an immigration moratorium, nobody in for 5 years except like your asylum where you're literally gonna die, or asylum pretty much is the only asylum. But other than that, bro, or O1 visas, like people that actually have like a real skill where we can't replace it. Which
like nurses counts or no?
Nah.
Okay.
Because
like now astronauts.
So like O1 visa, right? Yeah. Because they say, oh, H1B visa. I'm like, nah. If you want to bring in, because that's where we where I was criticizing Vivek, he was saying about how like, oh yeah, we need to bring the best and brightest. I was like, Vivek, if we're gonna bring in the best and brightest, that doesn't mean fucking H1B bringing these feats from India over here. You might have to bleep that apart. But for you,
Laura, is a racial slur.
Yeah, it's a racial slur. But we don't need to bring these feats over here, right? So they can be coders at a fucking tech company. Like, bro, we have Americans that could do that shit, right?
True.
If you want to bring in the best and the brightest, like you're talking about, make them do an O1 visa, which means like exceptionary skill where you can't necessarily replace that shit. Scientists, celebrities, entertainers, the best of the best, right?
Okay, rappers.
Yeah, they could. No, they will qualify. If they got like a sizable audience, they'll qualify.
Central C, yeah.
So my thing is, if you want to do that, it's got to be O1 visas or asylum. So literally the best of the best, or people that are like being politically persecuted or whatever. Because I'm sensitive. I understand that like asylum is, but people abuse that too.
Yeah.
So we need an immigration moratorium. We need to reform our visa system. And we need to put like serious like regulation on the H1B and these other visas because people just abuse them. I can't tell you how many times when I was on a job, students would come here, right? F1 visa. Oh, I'm going to go to a language school. Yeah. Bro, they don't even go to class. Yeah. They just used it to come here and stay illegally and then work. Yeah. And then they're going in the fucking wind. Yeah. And then on top of that, when people come into the country legally, under the Biden administration, they'd get something called a notice to appear, release on own recognizance, or ROR, right? And this shit basically allows it where they come into the country, they get processed, and then they can go to the city of their destination, and then they wait for their immigration hearing. That could take years. Right. Then on top of that, there was this bullshit called CBP1, which was an app that would let them get flights to these places.
Oh, wow.
Now, just to show you guys the difference, when I was on a job, when I was on the southwest border, when illegal aliens were getting caught on the border, we're giving all those niggas expedited removals, ERs, which means you're getting deported within 2 weeks. Why is that good? It's good because it doesn't cost the taxpayer anything, right? We don't have to bring them into the country and ROR and shit. Yeah. It's like 2 weeks, and then bam, you get removed right back. But under the Biden administration, they were just letting them in. Yeah. And not only letting them in, they were letting them in and letting them go to their destination. So when it is time to serve them with the immigration hearing, they're not even there no more. Gone.
Facts. Wait.
So this is why I'm so critical of like visas and immigration in general, is because we're getting destroyed on all angles.
Yeah, bro. Listen, that's kind of crazy too, right? You come and then you go to like a sanctuary city to where they can't even serve you if they want to serve you.
Bro, that's what I'm trying to say, and this is what got me in trouble, because I was saying like Elon Musk and Vivek are retards because they're billionaires, they're globalists, they're not nationalists. When you're a billionaire, right, by definition, you're a globalist, because to make that kind of money, you have to have international interest. But me, I'm a hardcore nationalist. I don't give a fuck about no other country. I'm America only. I don't carry any other passport. I love this country. I was born and raised here. English is my first language. I have allegiance to this country at all. And like nowadays, you're a fascist, or they say some other dumb shit. There's nothing wrong with nationalism. So if we're going to be nationalists here, that means prioritize America. That means employ Americans. That means English is the only language. That means no more foreign labor, right? But these guys, Elon and Vivek, don't know shit about immigration. These dudes are fucking, one guy was like shilling pharmaceuticals, and the other guy like bought companies that he didn't found. That's the truth when it comes to Elon Musk and Vivek. So they didn't like that shit.